Welcome to Deb Talk with your host, Deb Darling. On this pod, I'll be asking the hard questions that life throws our way. What some are scared to talk about and others wish they did. Sex, cultura, kids being assholes, overeating, butt sex, shitty jobs, and so much more. I'm on this journey of getting to know myself and others. So come join me! Welcome to Deb Talk with your girl, Deb Darling. I am here with my special guest, Sarah.
Hello. I can't follow that.
Welcome.
Hi, it's good to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. How are you?
I am wonderful, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing. Thank you for reaching out. I was so happy. So please tell everyone who you are, what you do, all of that good stuff.
Okay. Well, my name is Sarah Dickinson. I am an author, and I actually write about stigmatizing issues. I have a book out that's about addiction and recovery, and I'm currently writing a book about sexism and domestic violence, different types of abuse. So, that's kind of, I don't know, I like to try to speak for people that aren't really heard by many people. And you can find me on Instagram. I am Sarah D. Author on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter as Peer Pressure 364144692, because that's what they had available.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sorry, because I thought you were going to say something. That's why I stopped.
I'm a very bad interview.
No, you're not. You're so amazing, because talking to you, I was like, she's going to be great. And you are. So then let's slide right on into the first segment, which is Weekly Inquiry. And this week's inquiry is, how have you used your white privilege to speak out on the behalf of the Black Lives Matter movement?
I've tried to use it a couple of ways to, I don't know, I think maybe this is just my opinion. I think one of the biggest things is to tell other white people to shut the fuck up. That's kind of my biggest thing. I've been finding that for some reason, a lot of white people think that they are somehow race experts, and their voice needs to be heard because it's not heard enough. So there's been a lot of shut the fuck up and listen. I've been trying to learn more about ways that I can be an ally that is helpful in day to day and having conversations with my children and my own, my peers or people that I work with. And mainly though, I've been putting my money where my mouth is. There are so many, when you go online, if you go on basically anything, if you go on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you can find so many links that are just different, petitions you can sign, places you can donate. We donated and signed petitions for Breonna Taylor, for obviously the Black Lives Matter movement itself, and I really should have kept the list of all the places, but I'd say there's about 5 or 6 petitions that we signed and trying to share them with other people or get other people to donate. So I've been very fortunate that I have kind of gotten through the COVID with not having my money hurt too bad. So the one thing that I'm like, I can definitely do is, donate financially. And then there are a couple places, because I'm a writer, we're in writers groups. You can promote other minorities and Black authors. You can promote their businesses. You can, try to be aware of where your money's going and take it out of certain places and then fund it to places that, support your ideals, I think are some very basic things that not just myself, but most white people can do, is just shut up and listen and try to find out how to be a better ally and how to be on the side of helpful change as opposed to just nothing, just saying nothing and doing nothing and being like, I'm not a racist and that's enough, because it's not.
I agree. That's amazing. How comfortable are you talking about this topic and talking about race in general?
I've always been very comfortable with it. I think just because of the way that I was raised personally, the way my parents raised me. I have a lot of cultures in my family. Like I have a very big family. My sister-in-law was Black. My brother-in-law is from Puerto Rico. My other brother-in-law is Filipino. Like there's a lot of diversity in my family. So I've always been comfortable and, aware of not everything, but definitely I feel more than some, well, it's really not saying much to be more aware than some of the people you see on the internet, because there's so many garbage people out there. But yeah, I'm pretty comfortable.
Great. So growing up, what kind of conversations did you have with your parents regarding like white privilege or other people of color or other nationalities that made you comfortable growing up and seeing?
I think a big thing is, I'm a different generation. I'm a little older. I think most white people didn't recognize white privilege so much back when I was growing up. You know what I mean? I think my parents saw it more as, well, that's what generations before us did, and we can make it better. And I don't think my parents, as much as they might have been aware, were really aware of what was going on. Like if you told my parents about redlining, they would have been like, really? That's a thing? So I think that they were very unaware, but probably, for almost as long as I can remember, but I was probably 3 when I met my best friend. Like she's my best friend. And she's not even my friend anymore. She's my sister. And we were in and she's Black. And it was very quickly that my parents felt like, you need to understand, because I couldn't understand why I would see how it was different for her than it was for me. And my parents, my parents were always the first people that I remember who said racism it's not hate. It's not, they're like, it's part of it, but racism is power. And racism is, you can hate somebody and you can do this and they are powerless to stop it. And they were very big on that. And, they were also very big that, your job as being a white person is to stand up when it's not right, kind of thing. Like other people, when somebody's powerless, you have to help them. So those were but white privilege really wasn't a topic back then. But
that's beautiful. What do you think when people say, or white people say, or anyone, it's not even just white people, because Hispanic, light-skinned people say it too, I don't see color. And what is your opinion on that statement?
I think that's probably one of the most well-intentioned, dangerous things that you can do. You need to see color, because if you don't, you're having blinders on and you're not seeing there are differences. There shouldn't be, but there are. And if you're not recognizing those differences, you're not going to take them seriously, and you're not going to give them the attention and the respect that they deserve. But I think a lot of people, they don't want to see color. They want to see, I want to see you as you, and I want to see, this person is this person. But it's almost to not see it. You're also trying, as long as there's racism in the problem, to not see color, you're not seeing the problems and the differences. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. What kind of conversations do you have with your kids? And when was the first time you had the conversation with your kids?
Let's see. I'd say the first time with my oldest was easy. She was 3, and we lived with my father. We were saving up to buy a house, and we lived with my father. And our next door neighbor was mixed, I guess. The husband was black and the wife was white, and their son was the same age, and they were best friends, and they played every day, and they must have been playing for a good month. And I just never thought of it. I never thought to have any conversation, because I'm going to be really honest, I could not stand his wife. I couldn't. I tried, but and I just was like, I never thought of it. I was just like, yeah, let's have Tony come over and play over here, because I don't want you going over there. She's a bitch crazy kind of thing. And but I loved her husband. He was like this nice, sweet guy and everything like that. And they came over to pick him up, and my daughter was just like, so if you're chocolate and she's gonna flavors Tony, like just like out of nowhere, and I'm like, I guess somebody needs to have a conversation. And he, the husband, without even missing a beat, he was like, he's mocha, and she's like, oh, that's a good flavor. She's like, I bet you. She's like, I'm just vanilla, and vanilla's boring, like that. And I'm just like, where did this even come from? And she had a conversation with Tony's dad, and that was it. And so kind of led easily into the conversation. I was like, so why did you think Tony was a flavor? And, and it was some show. I don't remember. I think it was Caillou or some cartoon that was on back in the day. And she was like, oh, I don't know, because of this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, some people probably wouldn't be nice to Tony because of the fact that his dad is black and his mom is white and that kind of stuff. And so it very easily opened that conversation. She was about 3. My youngest one probably not till she started school, just because of the fact that we live in the middle of the woods. Like when I lived with my dad, he lived in like a very busy little development and all the houses were close by. I live on 3 acres with dogs and ducks and bear and so yeah, like she goes to play dates. Like she doesn't go outside to play.
Oh, so she's sorry.
No worries.
Not okay. So your youngest with her, how was it? Like, did same. Either of them? So was it like they both were very receptive?
Yes.
Like people are different and. Yes. Whatever.
I mean, I would say like their generation is just, I think on the whole, just it's such a like I've never seen so much representation of just like sexual identities and gender and all of this stuff that like I felt like I didn't have to do that much work for them to be aware, because they were, just everybody was everywhere. Like my daughter she's in 6th grade or no, oh my God. I don't know what grade my daughter's in. In 6th grade, my daughter met her best friend he's gay. And she's just like, so they've been very just, I didn't have to do that much. Like, and it was always just a very simple of, they're exactly the same as you, but yeah, they have to deal with things like this, and trying to make it for each age that they were on a level that they understood kind of what was going on. Like, people, my daughter's best friend, my older daughter, he's Asian. And, sometimes people are mean to people because of where they come from. Sometimes people are mean because of the color of somebody's skin. And, and to them, it was never, I don't know, like a big deal or a conversation. You know what I mean? Like they were just like, yeah, people can be mean just because you wore the wrong outfit today. And it's like, well, sometimes it's different because, they don't like, they're going to think that I'm trying to think of an example. Like her one friend, Jillian. Jillian was black before she even started anything. Like if you go to a thing, there would be, well, your parents aren't together, right? Like you'd see things like that happen and be like, see, honey, that's the kind of thing. Like they I don't think their father has been at a school event in one of them's in college. He don't go to the school. He doesn't deal with the teachers. They've never asked me if I was a single mother, so you'll point out things like that. Like mommy never gets asked if your daddy lives with us, and stuff like that. And so they've always been very that's not okay. And like they'd ask a couple questions, or, well, why do people think this way? And, you do your best to answer because you don't know why. Everybody, some people choose to believe some things and some people, choose not to. So, that I don't think I can't think of anything to say now.
No worries. Do you have them on social media?
My daughters? Yes, I have them on my Facebook, but I don't have them like they're not labeled my daughter or my child. They're on there, but then my youngest doesn't use her actual last name. It's just like, the first and middle name. They're not on my Twitter because my Twitter is for writing. So I don't even have a friend that I know in the real world on Twitter. And they're on my one Instagram.
So what are their opinions on your Facebook? Because you go so hard, especially for everything that's going on. That's more so what I was getting at, because on Facebook, you go really hard and you definitely show that you're an ally and that you believe that racism is some bullshit, and that people that are racist are on some bullshit, and you are not afraid to speak your mind. So how do they feel with you being so vocal?
Honestly, and it's really funny because we were just grateful because it was an opportunity. So I've had this thing where people say some blatant racist shit to me, and I will take a screenshot of it, and then I tag them in it, and then I mock them. And for some reason, catching somebody in racist bullshit did not get me as much rage as bashing Trump did. So I'll just but it was the same conversation once I bashed Trump, but still, I got almost 50. It was over 45 grown-ass men who were messaging me, telling me that they hoped like my house caught on fire. They hoped somebody murdered me. They hoped my kids were gang raped. They were gonna come gang rape my kid. All this stuff, and both of my girls, they were just like, and they knew about it because I felt like they weren't going to be scared because it wasn't anybody that was like, they were all people surprisingly shocking from the South, like from Georgia and Tennessee. And I lived in Georgia for a while and knew a lot of musicians, and there were a lot of them. And both of my daughters, like, I'm telling my youngest one, and she just got really quiet. And I'm like, what's, honey, they can't hurt us. They don't know where and she's like, no, she's like, they've been mean to us they want us dead for just a day. She's like, imagine if that was just your whole life and you didn't even say anything. You just were there. Like, you put your picture up and you look too black or too Asian, or you look too like Latino, and you got hate for that. And then my oldest one looked at my young, they weren't even talking to me. And she goes, we can just log off of Facebook. And she was like, they can't, imagine if you couldn't walk away. And it opened up like almost such an appreciation for what they don't have to go through. That it was a big discussion of, where do we go from here kind of thing. And that's when my daughter went all gung-ho and she started to try to find out companies that did or didn't support, this. Like, I got like so many gallons of Ben & Jerry's ice cream in my fridge right now. She was devastated because she thought she was going to never eat Wendy's chicken nuggets again. And then Wendy's released a statement. So it kind of like the hate they got was more of like their toe in the sand of like, good. Like, I'm not scared of you. You're an asshole, but I'm not scared of you. And so, I mean, it sounds so cheesy because I have, for some reason, it's middle-aged, middle-class white dudes who like cannot, sexism isn't real, racism isn't real, and homophobia isn't real. And they're all delusions in people's mind. I don't know what it is. I'm married to a middle-class, middle-aged white guy. He don't think like that. I don't know why, but that seems to be, and they come at you with rage for like, and it's just like, wow. And even we've had conversations of, I think that white people think that other white people are going to tolerate their racism better because we're white. And it's like, and I think that's one of the things that infuriates them is calling them out and just like, but you're white, you're an asshole. And it's not cool. And I try not to call out people for, I call it polite racism. Like, and that's what I think a lot of, like, those are the people that I try to have a conversation with in hopes that you can sway them to understand what they're saying, as opposed to blatant racism. Like, and it's not easy. Like, it sucks. I cut off my niece, like my niece, and I raised her. Like, and that's the part that kills me is my niece she's half Black. And her mother was Black, and her mother had substance abuse problems. So I would take her in a lot. So I was like a second mother to her, and she just said some of the most vile, racist crap that, like, it was bad when I put the post up about places my daughter and I had donated to, and she put, like, the nicest thing she said was that the police were heroes. The police that murdered George Floyd that was the nicest thing she said.
What?
And I was just like dumbfounded. I'm like, and I was just like, you're Black. Like, how can you? And I had like many conversations with myself, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want it in my life, and I'm not gonna, like, my goal is that hopefully if enough people say that's not acceptable, that will become the new minority. And I'm like, I can't make an excuse because it was hard. It sucked. And I felt kind of bad because like a lot of my family followed suit. Like I had most of my siblings were just like, has to be done because we were all raised by the same people. And I mean, there's a lot that's going into it with her opinions being her opinions. I don't think it's purely out of ignorance or hate that she's spouting those opinions, but yeah, it is what it is, and it sucks, but it has to be done. Because if you, I don't know, to not have a conversation or to be worried that you're going to rock a boat or upset somebody is just, that's why we are where we are. Like, honestly, like, that's why, because I think that more white people don't want to be racist, and they don't want to be ignorant, and they want to do the right thing, but they're scared of, they're scared of rocking boats. They're scared of losing their own opportunities or their own friendships or their own that. And it's just like, yeah, imagine being scared of all those things and then physically scared. And there's nothing you can do about it because you just look like that. And that's what makes it keep going on and on and on. And so it's like, I was like, no, I can't. I don't care. I don't care that you're my niece. I don't care that I've known you for 20 years. For some of my friends, like, I don't care that you were my date to the prom or my first boyfriend or my, like, this, like, no, sorry, you got to go. And so I think my kids were better for it. Although I was devastated to know I had that many people that I had to have that conversation with. Like, I was truly like, there's got to be maybe 3, and they're ignorant. They're not racist. Like, that was like my thought. Like, I'm going to make this one post and everybody's going to be like, yeah, we should donate or we should do this. And I was just like, I lost 100 friends, and I don't even know how many of them are just being quiet. Like, I'm hoping that I weeded them all out, but I mean, it was 100, and I was more devastated I know 100 bigoted, racist sons of, like, that was like, personally for me, it was like, but it almost gave me more of a resolve. Like, if you knew 100 that were sitting there politely or quietly racist, like, that's what has to happen, or else they'll just keep, maybe if you said nothing 6 months from now, you would have had 200 of them. So I don't know. It's just my opinion.
Yeah. When did you know that there was like a blatant race issue in America?
When I was about, this is such a horrible story. When I was in about 4th grade, because I said the N-word. Because when I was in school, I was in 4th grade, I didn't know what it meant. My best friend, and we were out and we were playing, and there were just a bunch of kids out there yelling, and they were like, and they were black, and I heard the word, but it ended, they were like kind of fighting, kind of getting loud, and then somebody said it, so I thought that was your trump card to play to win a fight. Like, that's genuinely what I thought. And so we were in the classroom, and I just to somebody else, and it was just like crickets. And like, thank God the people around realized that I had no clue what it was that I was saying. But I got quite a talking to. I got quite a education, and I was just like, oh, I thought that was just how you win the fight. Because that guy out there, he won, and I want to win the fight. And they were just like, no, this is what this word means, and this is why this word means this. So I was very young when I understood not just that my best friend was different than me, but that everybody that looked like, because when I was in 3rd, when we met, I understood, well, she's black and this is this, but I didn't really get, like, to me, it was the same as, well, she would have black hair, and if I had like blonde hair. I didn't get that. No, all this is, racism, and it affects all people that look different than you. And that was probably in about 4th grade. And it's not a nice story, but I at least take comfort in the fact that I was in 4th grade and I had no idea what I was saying. But yeah.
Well, better 4th grade than being a senior in high school or in college or a grown adult. So that's good.
Right.
So I read your piece, and I thought it was actually so amazing. I didn't get to read it till earlier today, and I was just like, oh shit, I should have probably read this before, because this is fucking dope. And something really stood out to me. And I was like, wow, a lot of things stood out to me. First, the fact that you referred to certain people as jelly beans, and I thought that was so funny. And just a lot of different things. But this specifically, I thought was super powerful. And I was like, this is so dope. So it said, racism is not just ignorance. Racism is power. Power to inflict all of these injustices regularly, repeatedly, and with impunity to any person of color who is powerless to stop it, powerless to fight back and win. Are we clear? And reading that, it sounded so personal. It sounded so like you're coming for these people. Like, do you get it? Do you understand what the fuck I'm saying? And I was just like, it literally stood out, and immediately I highlighted it, and I was like, wow. But there was a couple of different times that I stopped and I highlighted, and I was like, wow. But this one specifically, I was just like, whew, I had to take a breather. I was like, wow. So my question for that was, do you think if published to like the larger masses and everything, do you think it'll be extremely controversial towards white folks and the backlash that you might get? Like, because it's like I said, it sounds very personal, so deep.
I mean, I could, but also, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, the very first sentence that I wrote in that piece was, white people disappoint me. Mm-hmm. And we're past disappointment. Like, white people are pissing me off. And some of the conversations they have, it's like, it's the most asinine things that I've ever heard in my freaking life. Like, I've heard white men bring up the whole, well, black guys, they use the N-word with each other. So that, like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, you as a dude, every guy has a woman in their life. Every guy at some whatever, whether it's your mom or your sister or your girlfriend or what, and you have a woman in your life, and that woman calls her best friend her bitch. That's my bitch. That sometimes you might be, that's my whore, she's a little, like anything. Mm-hmm. That's my bitch. Nobody has to explain to a man why you can't call a woman, that's my bitch, in the same positive thing. So why do we need to explain it when it comes to black and white? you get it when it comes. So don't fucking give me that because you're an idiot. And like, and then the all lives matter, that shit. And they do that. And then, and it's just white privilege isn't real. Like, really? Really? Because, and this is the thing, a lot of white people don't even understand what the fuck white privilege is. Like most like white people think if I admit white privilege is real, it means that I'm a racist. If I admit that white privilege is real, you're saying that I never had struggles. I was poor. I grew up poor. You know, I was a punk kid and cops gave me a problem and this, and this. And it's like, that's not what white privilege means, dude. It's just, it's not. And it's not fucking rocket science either. And it's, white people really piss me off. And it's ridiculous. And I don't want to sound, bigoted or prejudiced, but like middle-aged, middle-class white men especially piss me off more. Like they make like that little eye tick happen where you got to hold your eye down and you like say a prayer of like, please Jesus, don't let me beat this person's ass, because they're like, you want to beat the common sense into them because they say the most ignorant shit. And it's like, and it's like, I find some days I get really passionate and really good at it, and some days I am so bad at it because all I want to do is just spew obscenities at you, and I just want to infuriate you and until you go away. And that's kind of been my social media lately. Like I keep spewing things I know that is going to piss them off, so they just go away and they don't argue with me anymore because I'm really, really good at it. Like my mother raised me with this whole: when someone's nice to you, you be nice back. When someone gives you respect, you give them respect back. And when someone's an asshole to you, you show them that you're better at it. And they're not hard to piss off. Middle-aged, middle-class white, not hard to piss. They're like, correct a sentence. Just grammatically correct one sentence. Trying to pull in my rage right now. I got some of it for him, but yeah.
Well, dope. So I love that piece. So I can't wait until I can't get over it. Like I said, I wish I would have read it. I mean, I'm glad if I would have read it sooner, I would have read it again today just because it was that good. And I was just like, wow, yeah, you should be very proud of it. And I can't wait till more people read it because it's something that a lot of people need to hear. A lot of white people need to read it, and a lot of white people need to like just open their eyes and realize like, dude, it's not just you out there.
Yes. And that's, oh my God. And that was the whole, like my little jelly beans, because I wanted oh my God, I'm going to say the wrong word. The condescending attitude to come through, because just, it's like, I don't understand how this is hard for you. Like, it's like, I'm telling you 2 + 2 = 4. And you're like, no, sweetheart, it's 6. And so I just like, I'm so fed up with like having to explain the most basic of like, it's basic common knowledge. And if you can't accept it, at least learn how to shut the fuck up. Like at least learn, and that's one of the biggest things is like, I'm so tired of seeing white people say, well, this is the way it is. No, it's the way it is for you. And I don't understand how you can't get that like the system works for you. And you really believe that that's the way it works for everybody. I know you don't believe it. I know you cannot in your grown ass mind believe that. Like, have you lived in a bubble? Have you been like, yeah, maybe my experiences are different. Maybe I have minorities in my family. Maybe I have, my best friend like maybe mine are different, but I don't live in a bubble that my first job when I was 16, I remember almost getting fired because they're like, see that woman over there, go follow her. I was at Caldor. I worked at Caldor. Why? To see if she's stealing. And me, I'm like 16. Who the fuck's gonna steal from Caldor? Like, I'm goods at Caldor. And she's just like, no, you need to go follow her. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not gonna go do that. And it's just like, like 16. Like, it's not that hard to see that, like, people who are brown get treated different. And it just makes me mad. I know you guys aren't that stupid. I know I will not, you know what I mean? I know white people are not that stupid, that you just can't believe that. No, it works great for everybody. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, I got pulled over by a cop and I was just like, hey, I pay your salary. What's your badge number? Like, I've seen white people do that. Like, and the concept that like you don't get that doesn't, like, there are people of other races and other sexes that like they can die. Like I think it's like a black man has something like 4 times. I think it's like this. I suck at quoting statistics, but he's 4 times more likely to get shot at any sort of conflict with a police officer than a white person. It's like, how do you fucking not know that? Like, how do you fucking not know that? And so yeah, my rage and my patience with white people is kind of, I've gotten kicked off. I got put in Facebook prison twice for yelling at white people, being like, fuck you. So I'm so angry.
Well, sometimes you have to be angry to get your point across. So I feel you.
Fair. That's fair. Ooh. Didn't realize I had that much rage just like simmering. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, calm down.
Let's call it passion. You're passionate.
Okay. I like that. Passion. Sounds nicer. More mature.
Yes.
More mature.
So let's get right on into the weekly shenanigans, because I really want to get passionate real quick. And the weekly shenanigans is where we discuss bullshit that we've seen on social media. It could be a story that we've seen or we heard. It can be an amazing meme, picture, or video. Yeah, anything that we thought was worth talking about in this.
You know what I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But this one, I'm sure you've seen it.
Okay.
The video of the 75-year-old man, Martin, that was pushed. And so what my bullshit, that wasn't it, but it was what Trump said about it.
I saw that today. And today was my day that I wasn't going to watch the news. I'm like, you're going to let your blood pressure go down and you're not going to watch the news. And then I checked my Twitter and I'm like,
someone literally needs to change his password and his email's password so he can never recover Twitter again, because I just don't understand.
That is the nicest thing that someone could literally do to him, and it's the nicest thing on the list of things that I wish would literally happen to that man.
Right. Oh my God. So this man literally said Buffalo protester shoved by police could be an Antifa. And that Martin Gugino was pushed away after appearing to scan police communications in order to black out the equipment. At OANN, I watched. He fell harder than he was pushed. Was aiming scanner. Could be a setup. I read it and I was just like, is he fucking for real?
I read everything that man tweets and says, is this fucking for real? Like, I keep waiting for Ashton Kutcher to pop up and punk me, because I'm like, and I'm going to even say this, like, I don't get political. Like, I don't. Like, I can sit there. I have never voted for Republican or Democrat. I have always voted for the independent third party, because I'm like, my vote isn't going to seal the president. And I think it's like, if the independent gets 15% of the vote, they'll let them in the debates. So I'm like, I'll just vote for the independent, and maybe one day they'll be allowed to go into the debates. Like, I've never really voted, because you knew who was going to win. So it's like, if I ever thought but I never thought like, no. And I've never really had any like horrible opinion or great, I've never thought any president was amazing. Like, my go-to is that politicians don't give a fuck about you. That's my go-to. Like, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about your family, your life. They care about getting themselves as much money and power as they can. And that's all they care about. So what does it matter? Like, I have my own opinions as to why I think Trump became president in the first place. I think I don't think it was for him. I think that he has that very small percent of a fan base that, I mean, they might have, you know, white capes and hats that, you know, those fan base. But I think when he first was elected, I think a lot of Democrats were pissed and felt that Hillary stole the election from Bernie Sanders. So I think that there were a lot of Bernie supporters who were like, I'm not voting for Hillary. Mm-hmm. And then I think you have a lot of middle American people who are kind of like, oh, he's not a politician, so I'll vote for him. And I've kind of stayed in the middle until this. This was kind of like, listen, you've been funny as not in a ha-ha funny, but as an embarrassing funny. You did some good stuff for the economy, but you're kind of a piece of shit person. Like, even when I was like, he did some good stuff for the economy, but when I see his face, I want to punch him in the face. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, who lost a bet with what God for us to fucking be put in this fucking position? Like he is so horrible that I've even debated my own beliefs. Like, I believe very deeply in what I believe, and I love my own personal God and everything like that. But I'm like, what if we're all wrong? Like, what if some random fucking, like, I don't know, maybe one of the Greek gods or something was the real God, and we've just infuriated him, and he has now unleashed Trump on us, because it's just like, you can't even make that shit up. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, that's all I want to say is, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's just, I can't even believe that he believes his own shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he purposely wants to stir the shit pot. I think, I don't remember what the dinner is when Obama was president. I think it's like the state dinner or something like that. They have this big dinner, and like, people have to pay a donation to go to the dinner. And Obama went to oh my God, Trump went to Obama's dinner, and Trump was the butt of the jokes that night at this dinner. And as everybody can tell, Trump cannot handle being fucking made fun of or anything. And I personally think that, like, that's where he made up his mind that he was going to run for president. And I think that's when he made up his mind that he's going to, like, just burn the whole place down. Like, he's like, y'all made fun of me and you care about it. I'm going to take the job. I'm going to watch the fucker burn. Like, that's my only of how a human being could act that way. And and somebody was just like, well, if you vote for Biden, he's a rapist. I'm like, probably, but so is Trump, so it's okay. Like, Biden's not a rapist who's going to gas his own people. Mm-hmm. Biden's not a rapist who's going to try to fuel the flames of hate for his, not gonna say what they are, but has 3 letters in it. They look like K's, concerning their fan base. That's like, don't want to get anybody in trouble by saying it, but, like, you know, might have, you know, I don't know, what's it called? Shit. I forgot the name of a clan leader. That's what I was going to call it. It's a great opportunity for a joke. Grand Dragon? The Grand Dragon? Grand Poobah?
I don't know.
You got Trump on the
Definitely
ticket.
Don't ask me about no KKK stuff, because I don't even read up on them. I'm like, just stay away.
They were in Georgia today.
Oh, Jesus.
They were in Georgia today. They were protesting for voting in Georgia today. Grand Poobah, whatever. They wanted Trump to be in office, so whatever. Those people. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I don't know what I hate more, racist or Trump. I mean, it's kind of the same.
Kind of the same, yeah. It's really right there, neck and neck, on which one's worse.
Right.
So what about you? What was your shenanigans of the week? Let the people know, because I kind of know, but I want everyone else to know.
Oh my God. I don't know his name. I know it was in Atlanta. And this kid, he had to have been a kid, but everybody under 30 is a kid to me. During the protesting, and there was maybe some rioting going on. He saw his moment of opportunity. And I would like to say that if there was no protest going on, we would all be applauding this kid, hands down, up front. We all know people who would have done this, and we all would have cheered them on. And this kid went into the Atlanta Police Department and go on YouTube, and he stole a fucking horse. He stole a police horse, and it was the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. They caught videos. He took a video, but then people videotaped him coming out from like the police headquarters, and he booked it down the road. But he had his phone in one hand with the reins and his other hand up in a fist as he just booked it down. He earned that horse. He earned that fucking horse while he videotaped his escape. And if you can, just Google it, or not Google it, YouTube it. It is the funniest thing you'll see, like, this month. It just, like, I've watched it 1,000 times, and it keeps getting funnier every time I watch it. Just every time, just, I stole it from the police. Fuck it. It just, oh my God. And I just laugh. Oh, it's so funny. Hearing the horse.
A really funny video. You sent it to me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I am dying. It was really funny. And then I looked up more views from it, like the different angles, and it was actually so funny. So people go and find kid that stole the horse in Atlanta.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It will hit your giggle dick, and you will just, like, for 15 minutes, it will make your whole night. It's beautiful.
Yes. So we can move on to the weekly check-in. And this is a current event topic that we're catching up on. It could be something that you saw in a show or a movie or the media, social media, the news, a magazine, anything that you thought was worth talking about.
So many things are worth talking about for so many different reasons. I don't know. Like, I've been kind of antisocial with the whole COVID. I've been like binge watching old movies, and I only watch the news, and I don't want it to be a news thing because it's kind of heartbreaking. I don't know. Give me an idea.
Well, for me, it's kind of good news, and well, it's not good news, but it is good news if it makes sense. So for me, it was about the former co-worker of George Floyd. He came out today and said that Derek, the cop,
that guy.
Yep. He spoke out and said that the two had overlapping security shifts at the same Minneapolis nightclub. And at this point, if this is true, he might be facing first-degree murder as opposed to what he was facing before. So I hope so I hope he does. And he deserves to rot in prison for being such a horrible human being.
No, he doesn't. No, he deserves to get tortured.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's my thing is I really wish, like, maybe, like, people should just, like, fucking get with, like, truly coming to them. Like, truly is coming to them. And you try not to be, like, you know, petty. And most people who are in jail are in jail for, like, nonviolent shit. But sometimes it's like, no, I really think that you should get choked out while you're getting fucking gang raped 5 times a day, every day for the next 20 years. Like, that would make me happy. And just, but yeah, no, that makes me happy because we were talking about, like, my daughter was just like, is first degree murder even a possibility? And I said, I don't think so, because, like, it sucks, but I was like, you have to prove that there's some sort of intent that he went there planning to. I was like, and I don't think they'll be able to do that. Like, as heinous as it is, I don't think they'll be able to do that. So that's actually, like, you know, that makes me feel, I guess good is the wrong word, but it definitely is. Well, that should happen. So I know that there's a lot of talk about, you know, because my daughter and I, we got into that conversation. We were talking about the police because I guess one of the cops that was there but not doing anything, like, he was, I guess they were like, he was the one that, like, didn't help him, but he was, like, not letting anybody go near. And they said that was only his second shift. Wow. Like, that was his second shift as, you know, and Kayla was just like, you know, she's like, I don't want to say that I get it. She was like, but, you know, you have to wonder how bad it is, you know, when you work where, you know, she's like, it should never be okay, you know, to stand by. She's like, but, like, he was never on, you know, he wasn't on the streets. Like, how much power did the other, did hell's his name? I call him piece of shit, so I don't remember his name. How much authority and power did he have, and how much was, him directing and all of that. And it was just like, it was an interesting conversation for just how the police system, the police unions work, because like that, the thingy about in Buffalo that happened to that man, all the 57 police officers that resigned, they resigned because the union told them to.
Wow.
That's why they resigned. The union told them that to do that. And it's like, when the union has more power than, that the state and the government authorities, then that's part of the problem. And it was one of the things that, when we found out that the other officer had only, it was like his second or third shift working, there was that kind of conversation of, just how deep it goes and all the factors that go into it. It's not just one bigoted cop, and there are all of these factors that not just go into it, but go into how that cop gets in that position and gets away with it, because I think they said he'd been accused or brought up on disciplinary charges for racial, like 14 times. So
it was like 18 times.
18, okay.
18 different things, different counts, and like I guess he had already killed someone and all these different things. And my thought with that was, especially with like that, I didn't know about the other police officer that had only been his second shift. My thought with that is, I wonder if he knew of this police officer's like previous record and previous like accusations, and maybe he was scared or like whatever. I can't wait for the court to come out and like all of that to come out so we can see what he and like the rest of them say, because 4 of them got charged as well. So I wonder what it is his explanation is going to be, because if it's only his second shift, I don't know.
Right. Well, because it was the thing, because like I said, my daughter and I were talking, and she's like, I'm not, and that was her, I'm not saying, and I'm not making excuses. She's like, but I can understand how easily it was to intimidate him to do what, he was told. And I'm like, I mean, that's fair. And it's one of those things too, because that's what police unions get to do is, you don't get fired, you just get transferred. You do something wrong, you just get transferred. And there is a reputation of the cops who help other cops, and the cops that, try to do the right thing. And what happens to them, like if they rat out another cop, well, now they're going to have to take a desk job, and they don't want to take the desk job. So they just, and the whole thing. And I was just like, Mikhail, it's kind of like, it's everywhere. And, and not just racism, but just shitty people, shitty people for all of the shitty reasons. And it's like, it's everywhere, but I don't know. It was like, it was interesting, but it was also disheartening, because it's like, what can we really do? Like, you're never going to, because she had said something like, no matter what we do, we'll never get rid of racism. And I was like, I'm hopeful that we'll never get rid of hate, and people are always going to find someone to hate, and people are always going to have their ignorances. But racism is doing that and being able to get away with it. Racism is doing that and not having to pay the piper for it. So I don't think we'll ever get rid of hate, but I think, we might have a good shot of ending, the silence and the leveling of racism, that like, you're not going to be held accountable, and you're not going to, people aren't going to do this and do that. And she was like, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. And which led into a big thing about ignorance. And it was like, we all do. We're all ignorant about stuff. We all have our own prejudices kind of thing. And so, I mean, I think as long as it gets people talking, then that's all that really, really, really matters. Because that's like step 1 is to talk and listen and be receptive to everything.
And wanting to learn and wanting to do better and be better people.
Right.
Yeah, That is very true. I had the conversation with my mom because at first she didn't really understand because she's not, I mean, she's Hispanic, but she comes from Peru. And over there, there's a type of racism because there's your white Peruvians and then there's your black Peruvians. But it's a completely, they don't acknowledge it at all. So because over there, I mean, just like over here, they kind of sweep it under the rug, or they used to, at least, not anymore, but they sweep it under the rug. She was just like, nothing's going to change. And then I was just like, I had to sit down with her and I was like, listen, things are going to change and this is why they're going to change. And she didn't understand why it took this specific moment to be the one to make things change. So then I had her sit down, watch the video.
Yeah.
Now she's watching it and she's just like, oh shit. And I was like, yeah, like this is the moment where people saw a white man taking the life. Like they've seen it before. People have seen this before, but the way that he's begging for his life, the way that he's begging for his mother, the way that you're literally seeing his life come out of his body. Yeah. I think it hasn't been seen like that so vividly. So right then and there, she kind of was just like, so what can I do? And I was just like, now let's talk about it. We started that conversation led from, so she goes to work every morning and she's not racist in the least bit. She's just ignorant, like you said. She just, there's things she doesn't know. And now I'm very glad that she's been very vocal and very like everything. She's questioning everything. She wants to learn more about. And we sat there until like 12:30, maybe like 12:45 in the morning, just talking. And I had her watch a ton of it. She's like, where do you find these videos? I was like, they're literally all over Twitter. They're literally all over Facebook. And she's like, they don't go on my Facebook. I was like, because you only have Spanish people. So that those issues you're kind of blinded to them because they don't really come to your Facebook. Everybody, I mean, she has American people, but like not really. Like she keeps everybody from back home. So when she came here when she was like 19, but even then she kept all her friends from over there. She didn't really make new friends. Now she has a couple of friends, but they're not social media friends. So I'm just like, that's so weird. But yeah, so I get the whole having people be ignorant and you just having to teach them and kind of having to educate them. And I still learn every day. You just
I mean, I'm ignorant too. I know there's stuff that I'm ignorant to, and it's, and then there are some things too where it's like if people overheard something, I know that I could be perceived way worse than I am sometimes, which is, it's the negative about like the internet, I guess. I guess I'm just old enough. I'm that special generation where the internet and everything popped up in the middle. So it's like I had to learn how to do it, but I still know what it is. Like, boomers have no idea, but my like, millennials and all them, they were raised with it. So I'm like right in the middle. And it's like, I feel so old half the time because I'm like, oh, if it wasn't for the social media, if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that, if my kids hear me bitch about cancel culture one more time, they're just going to be like, seriously, I'm going to throw a brick at you. Shut up. Like, or hearing my generation, like I start a lot of things off with my generation and I deserve it because my kids are like, yeah, your generation is fucking amazing. It was special, right? And I'm like, shut up. All right. Some of your whatever your favorite is, their favorite was from my generation. So shut the fuck up. And she's just like, all right. I'm like, yeah.
It's so funny.
Kevin Hart wouldn't be here if fucking Eddie Murphy wasn't here, okay? And fucking, well, mumble rap shouldn't be here. So my kids, I hate that. I really do. I don't know if I hate it. Like, thank God my kids hate it too, but like, it's a horrible thing. Sorry.
I agree. No, I just got you on that one.
Juice WRLD was the only different. Like, he was cool. He was not Rumble. He was cool. But like everything else in the music in my kids' generation sucks. Just angry. I'm just like, it sucks. It's not good. It's not good. You guys have One Direction. It is bad. It's bad. All of it. Just no matter what genre you go in, it's bad. So yeah, that's why my generation's better, because we don't have that bad music. I'm sorry, I'm talking to myself right now because
No worries.
I'm starting to get slap happy.
Oh, that's funny. No, don't worry about it. So we can get right into our last segment, which is the listeners Q&A. And I don't have any this week. So do you have a question or a story you'd like to tell or anything?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like I should tell you some sort of Walking Dead story. I don't have any questions, but I feel like we should at least give like some sort of Walking Dead story. So, I don't know. Pick it. How about you pick what character, what actor? I've told you who I'd never met, and I'll give you a Walking Dead story about them.
Okay, Negan, is he like nothing like he is as his character? Because I think he is like such a dick in such a dope way. It's such a weird thing. So how is he in real life? And then I'm gonna ask about my hubby.
Okay, he's tiny. First of all, I'm gonna tell you that he is tiny. I am like 5'3", and I think we're close to the same height. Like, he is tiny. He's tiny, yeah, and he's like really skinny. Yeah, like he's fucking tiny. Like, yeah. But he's nice. He's nice. He actually in town, he owns a candy shop, and we have this thing called Sinterklaas. It's a parade that they do like around Christmas time, and it's like all of the whole, I don't know, is it Dutch, Norwegian kind of like traditions, and it's like a whole day festival, and like because it's a quaint little town kind of thing. So like all the shops that go, and they have like sidewalk sales, and people are outside all day, and you can buy like fudge, and you can like have, you buy gift boxes and stuff like that. And his candy shop, not last year, the year before, his wife was there, and she did a fashion show, and she was a judge, and all the kids came and they fashion modeled their dolls kind of thing. And his wife was the judge. So they did that with the kids, and he dressed like Negan and did the parade and was like throwing out candy and everything. And like, he's very nice. He's a very nice guy.
Wait, so how do they make him look so big and badass on The Walking Dead?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's just camera angles and maybe like maybe that. Like, that's all I'm thinking is it must be camera, because he's not a big dude. He's not a big dude at all.
I didn't expect you to say that. I thought you were gonna be like, he's like a big teddy bear. Like, he's huge.
Oh, I mean, he's nice and he's sweet, but he's not big at all. He's tiny.
Okay. Well,
Jerry's a big dude. The guy who plays Jerry.
Tell me about my boo, Mr. King Ezekiel. Oh God.
So apparently, and this was the fun part about it, was, first of all, I did not know that he was the voice on Teen Titans. Oh my God, I forgot his name. The Cyborg. He's the voice of Cyborg on Teen Titans. I didn't know that. And my one friend, he will volunteer and work at the conventions. So this one year I go, and that's where I met him, was at one of the conventions. And I decided that I was going to treat my daughter, so I bought VIP passes. And VIP passes just mean like you don't have to wait on the line. And the lines can be friggin' ridiculous. So I go, and my friend is working for Jerry's line. And Jerry and Ezekiel are right next to each other because, they have. So he's working at the line, but I have the VIP passes, and it wasn't like, it would go from like being super busy, and it was like a 3-hour wait to be online, or like nobody was there, and it was a 5-minute wait. So essentially throughout the day, my daughter and I just hung out there with my friend and everything. And like, it got to the point that Corey Payton was just like, come here, like this. He would talk to me in like the King Ezekiel voice. It was really funny. And it was just like random stuff. And one of the funniest things was my friend that was working there, I went to high school with him. So we were talking, and he's with all of his volunteers, and I'm like, listen, don't let him convince you that he's a nice guy, because when we were like in high school, we played Manhunt, and he left me in an open grave, and he's not a nice guy. And they're like, what? And I'm like, Yeah, we were playing manhunt in the cemetery, and they had dug up a grave for a burial the next day, and I fell in, and he left me there. And so they dragged me up to tell Jerry and Ezekiel that, like, he's working here and he left her in a grave kind of thing. And he banished my friend from the kingdom. Like, it was the funniest thing. He was like, oh, I bet. And he's like doing the voice and everything. And he's like, banished him to the far reaches of everything. And then it came out like 2 hours later, as we're all hanging out, my friend finally was, convince me. He was like, I'm not the one who left you in the grave. I had bronchitis. Don't you remember? We were all here and my dad picked me up because I was sick. Oh, that's right. Judith, who the fuck left me in the grave like that? That's like and Jerry goes and drags me to Ezekiel's line to, throw me on the mercy of the court because I lied to the king. Like, it was hysterical because it wasn't, at this point, it wasn't busy. It was so funny. He was so into character and he gave the best hugs. Like, he met my daughter every time. Like, we must have walked and talked to him like 50 times.
Oh,
like
wow.
50 times. And every time he would just like grab my daughter and bear hug her and just be like, oh, welcome. Like, he was just like, he just like exudes like the happiness and like that kind of like positive energy. Mm-hmm. That was him. And it was awesome. But he would talk to me in the king voice. I asked him about him and Carol's sex life. And I was like, so everybody's over there talking how the king is going to be all lovey and romancy and, oh, go and make sweet love to Carol. Tell me, you know it. He wines her and dines her, but when they get home, he slams that bitch up against the wall, right? And he's like, you shall not be wrong, my child. And then it goes right into the Ezekiel voice and everything like that. So it was definitely, if you've never been to a convention, I suggest you go. It's a good time. They're all there. They're all awesome. But yeah, no. So Kari Payton was definitely that, and the guy who played Bob. Do you remember Bob?
No.
Who had his like? You don't remember Bob?
Who's Bob?
Do you remember?
And I'm currently watching. I'm just so bad with names. You have no idea.
Do you remember Terminus, the cannibals?
Yes.
And then they ran out. And they like Bob was Sasha's boyfriend.
Yes. I
met him. He was awesome. It was really funny because my daughter and her friend went to go meet. I forgot her real name. I hate that. Sasha. They went to go meet Sasha, and I was like, "Well, fuck you. I want to meet Bob." And my nephew and I were online to meet Bob, and we're next. And my daughter, like, you see her, like, and the line is there. It's not like super big, but it was like there. And she comes up and she's like, Mom, just so you know, like, we met Sasha and we're going to be over here and we're going to wait for you. I'm like, okay, cool. And then they pop back and he's like, where'd they go? And I'm like, well, they went over there. Why? Because they didn't wait on fucking line. But I mean, you waited on line. Yeah, my kids have manners and respect and they didn't wait on line. So they're not going to cut any of those people off. They're going to go back over there. And he's like, I love that. And he got up and left the thingy and went and got off the line and went and got them and like grabbed them and dragged them back. And then he like made a phone call to my friend to talk to him and everything. Like, yeah, it was cool.
Oh, so Daryl.
Yeah.
I love him.
I went to the set the very first time and I'm a very loud person. Like, I want you to know, like, this is probably my whisper, how I've been talking through all of this. Like, I'm a very loud person. And when we went to the set and we were standing there and we saw Norman Reedus drive by on his motorcycle, I yelled so loud that he heard me over his motorcycle. My daughter was just like, fuck. Like, she was like, my mother usually embarrasses me how loud she is, but she was like, he heard you. He like pulled the motorcycle over, stopped, pictures, autographs, everything like that. And he called me a sexy bitch, and he told my daughter, your mom's a badass. So I was like, I was younger though, so I definitely did not look like a very old, tired lady at this point. It was a couple of years ago, so, but yeah. I kind of scared Sasha when I met her because I had no idea that they uglied her up for the show. Cynical Martin Green, I think that's it. Cynical Martin, I think that's her name. I'm so bad. I hate when I don't remember.
Bad at names. I would have no idea.
Yeah, I hate when I don't remember their name. It's like, because you see like fan people and it's like, no, I know that you're a real person, but I hate when I can't remember their real names. But she played Sasha. My daughter went and they went back to go back on the line so they could take a video from their friend who wanted. And I went and met them and they were talking to her and I was just like, I was probably creepy because I could not believe how beautiful she was. Mm-hmm. Like she was like drop dead stunning. And like in real, like I know if you watch the show, it's like, oh, she seems so friendly. Like in real life, this woman's smile is just like, and I must look so creepy because I mean, my kids are there talking and I walk up and I was like, hey, it's always great to see badass women and you are fucking gorgeous. Like I didn't even finish the sentence. And I was just like, I'm sorry if I'm being creepy, but god damn, you were just beautiful. And she was like, thank you. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. But I was like, I was unprepared for how much, because I always thought she was a pretty actress to begin with. But I'm like, no, on Walking Dead, they make you look fucking ugly because like in real life, this is just, yeah. So I look kind of creepy at that one. I took it though. I took it as a loss. I was like, you can't win them all. Like she handled it well. She's like, thank you. And I'm like, I'm not going to stalk you or anything. I'm going to get my kids and go. Like I swear, but just I wasn't prepared. Like,
that's funny.
So what season are you on?
Right now, I believe I'm in 7, number 14. I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to agree with you, though. Negan is probably, I don't know if I'm like, I hate him or I'm turned on by him. Like, it's like, yeah, it's just like, oh my God. And then you get a little creeped out. Like, what is wrong with me? That somebody this twisted. I'm just like, oh, which.
The first episode, I'm pretty sure, of this season, when they introduce Negan and he does all that shit, I cried. I literally, I don't know, if you go back on my Facebook post, I ended up like saying, I can't believe they killed Glenn and this and this. So I'm going in and then someone's like, yeah, I was like, I'm literally crying. So I literally took a picture of me. I did a Snapchat of me crying because I could not believe what he had done to Glenn and to what's his name, Red
Abraham.
Yes.
Mother
I was
dick.
just like, are you serious? I was like, this is not real. Fuck this guy. But then as you get to know him, he really like, I don't know, something about him. I was just like, I hate you, but I like you, and it's really weird.
I did. And it's funny because I mean I've said this thing and I don't think I've ever been, which is, do you know who Henry Rollins is?
Only if I probably see him.
He's like,
I have a computer in front of me
right now. He's a musician, kind of poet type guy. Google his face. The character of Negan was based on Henry Rollins. His look in the comics.
I could see that.
So in the comics, his look, his personality was everything was based on Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins auditioned for Negan and didn't get the part.
Oh, that's funny.
And it's just like, and I always think of that when I'm like, I don't think I've ever been more in love with an actor for that role. Like I couldn't picture anybody else in that role because like Jeffrey Dean Morgan has that kind of believability of being like a dick, but like the dick who's kind of telling you the truth kind of thing. But he's got that sexual, it's just like, yeah. And I mean, the very first time I ever met him, I was kind of an asshole because like my daughter, I wanted to be the hero. So I would take my daughter to the Walking Dead conventions and be like, I'm going to take her and I'm going to let her meet all of her all these celebrities. I'm going to be cool. But then I would be an asshole to the people. Like I wanted to be as much as an asshole as I could without having them call security on me. Like that was my goal. Like, and the very first, because when I first met him, I didn't know that he lived around here at first. Like it didn't click with me. And then all of a sudden, Michaela was like, oh, you should follow Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she showed me him on Instagram when she went, and I'm like, why is he at Battenfields? And Kayla's like, you don't know why he's at Battenfield? I'm like, yeah, he's buying a Christmas tree. Why is he at Battenfield? He lives here, Mom. Really? She's like, you know the farm right by Jack's house? The fuck you say? Like, I didn't even know that he lived here the very first time that I saw him. And but the very first time that I met Negan, I was like, I loved you in Fred Claus. And he's just like, what? And I was like, you fucking, oh, is she gonna date him? Fucking asshole, you know, I loved you in Fred Claus. And he just didn't know what to make of me. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that's the kind of thing I would do at the conventions, was just kind of be a little bit of an asshole. Just, I don't know, because I'm an asshole, I guess. So it's fine. I've accepted it. Like, it's cool. Everybody's got their cross to bear, and I'm an asshole. So, but
That's dope. Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to go to a convention and I want to see all of them because I love them. I love Daryl, I think, is by far my most favorite. Yeah. Then it's Rick. Then it's Michonne. Then it's Negan. Then it's Carol. Then I don't know. I'm trying to think. I actually hate Carl. I just don't like him at all.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, I go back and forth because I have some that I'm like, oh, I like, what the hell? I forgot the preacher's name.
I don't know. I just call him the preacher.
The Father Gabriel, him. Mm-hmm. I've loved him and hated him, and loved him and hated him. Like, and I met him and like had a definite like conversation about like, hey, you're a good actor because you made me hate you and then like you and then hate you and then like you and everything like that. So yeah, I think Carol's my favorite. Carol is usually always my favorite, and she's like one of the only people that I've never met, and it's just like that's my soft spot, which is funny because in the comic books I hated her.
Why?
Because she wasn't a badass in the comic books. In the comic books, she basically she was a lot younger in the comics, because I think in the comics Glenn had a thing for her too. Like she was in her like late 20s, I think, in the comics, and she would basically have relationships with people so they would protect her. And I think because in the comics she was with Tyrese.
Yeah.
And Tyrese left her from Michonne, and then Rick and Lori were together. And she basically went to them and was like, hey, you want to be like in a 3-way kind of thing? And they told her no, and she killed herself. Like she sacrificed herself to the zombies in the comics. She died pretty quickly in the comics, but she was never a badass. And, you know, like for the same reasons that I loved Carrie Fisher, was kind of the same thing that I had with Carol. It was that going from not just, I don't know, I don't even want to say feminine, but like almost like the quintessential kind of housewife kind of thing, then realizing how broken and damaged you are, and then all of a sudden becoming a badass, and then getting like like at this point, I personally think Carol's a bigger badass than Rick, or like as much as I like them, like she could mop the floor with Daryl. Like in a heartbeat. I think she'd kick Daryl's ass in a heartbeat. And yeah, so I mean, I'm waiting for the season finale to play from this past season, because COVID like brought a halt to production and everything. But I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to be all caught up.
Yes, you're gonna have to hit me up when you go through, because you're in for some shit, and I know what you're in for, and I'm not gonna give anything away. But you're in for some shit, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I'm excited. Well, thank you. So, everybody else, please send in your listener letters to deb.talk with an extra K at the end at gmail.com. Again, that's deb.talkk at gmail.com. And yeah, please, Sarah, please let the people know again where they can find you and your book and all that good stuff.
Well, you can find my book anywhere. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's on I don't even remember the sites that it's on. It's called Silver Spoons. One's Journey Through Addiction. There's that one. And you can find, I would go for Instagram because it's the only one I can remember. And it's Sarah D. Author.
Sarah D. Author.
I didn't on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for talking to me and being vulnerable and passionate. And you are so appreciated every day. Every day I see that you see your Facebook, I'm just like, oh, she is so dope.
Yay, I like being appreciated.
Yeah. And
you're awesome too.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And everyone, please remember to subscribe and please rate, review, and all that good stuff. And yeah, we started this podcast asking, how have you used your white privilege to speak out on the behalf of the Black Lives Movement? And as you can see, she has. And Sarah is a white ally. We need more people like her out there that isn't afraid of what the next person might say. All lives matter, yes, but right now we're focused on Black lives that matter. And we need to do better as a society to enforce that and make the justice system and the police force aware that we aren't stopping until Black people can walk down the street without being harassed because of the color of their skin. So like I always say, keep an open mind and an open heart. Toodles!